Frak, this podcast, come and listen to us talk about Battlestar Galactica. It's a show that we're talking about. Excuse me. I cleared my throat and then it got immediately like some phlegm. Anyways.
The sound you made was like,
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Frak, this podcast. I am your anti-fascist host, Jesse Gender, and I am joined as always by...
It's Vera! And you got to be careful. That means you're part of a terrorist organization.
Oh, I know. I just find it so. They had the Trump administration like a week or so ago, a few days ago, had that like meeting about like we're talking about the anti-terrorists. And I keep listening to this like we captured like the wife of one of the founders of Antifa, and I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Nothing.
What does that even it means? It's absolute bullshit.
It means absolutely nothing.
Are the Antifa founders in the room with us right now? Are they? Do you see them? You know what I mean? Like what?
I can't even laugh. It's too.
I know it's too. I laugh because of how just stupid and dumb and angering it all is. But yes, it's just.
I mean that's the real infuriating thing. You know, who knew that the country falling into fascism would be at the hands of people this fucking stupid?
I know, and then it's one of those things where it's like, you kind of have to realize it, though, because it's just like, oh yeah, if they were smart, they wouldn't be fascists.
Yeah, but even on that metric, I still feel like we got, like, the absolute dollar store version of this bullshit.
We have Hitler at home.
This is 5 for $1 at the checkout fascism that we got saddled with.
Yeah, like it's just like, you know, Vance is like, we have Joseph Goebbels at home, I guess, you know, dollar store like Wish version of Goebbels or whatever.
Does that make Stephen Miller Rudolph Hess?
Yeah. I think Stephen Miller probably is better Goebbels probably relationship, I guess, but I don't know. Yeah. I'm not gonna go one for one. Let's find the Nazi equivalent for everybody.
Tell me, audience, who's your favorite Nazi?
Yeah, who is the?
Let's dreamcast our favorite Nazis in the current administration.
What was the name? What was the gay guy who was like in charge of the police force that the SS eventually killed? I forget his name.
Oh, I can't remember him.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, fun times.
Oh, Kennedy is Mengele, so.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
easy.
that one's a gimme. That's an easy one.
Yes, that is dollar store Mengele, you know.
Yeah! Oh
my God. Jesus Christ. Well, on that happy note,
now that we've depressed everybody again. We keep doing that.
I mean, it's a depressing time, and I'm sure this episode that we're going to be talking about I'm not even transitioning here. The Battlestar Galactica episode we're talking about, I'm sure it's just going to be a bundle of joy.
Can I talk about my week at all?
Yes. How's your week? How is your week?
It was okay. I went and saw my boyfriend this past weekend, and we went to a play. It's a stage version of the Hitchcock movie, The 39 Steps.
Ooh, fun.
And it's a comedic stage version. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like some of it is outright jokes, but a lot of the humor is based in the fact that other than the lead character, everybody is playing multiple parts.
Mm-hmm.
So basically every attractive woman is played by one actress. Every old woman was played by this one actor. And like it was to the point where like this guy's on this other side of this set, and he's literally just ducking down, changing hats, popping back up again, saying a line, ducking down, changing hats, popping up again to be the other character. Like it was that kind of humor derived from reusing people to play multiple parts. It was cute. It was fun. It was high energy.
That sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Oh,
it reminds me of like I always had an idea to do the movie Rope, but like play it more gay and more like they're just villainous gays wanting to destroy heteronormativity. You just make it very obvious.
Have you seen anything about the making of for that thing?
No. I know what's his face was very pissy. Like I forget his name. The main guy who turns who's in like Rear Window.
God, you infected me with your Jimmy
forgetfulness.
Stewart.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart. I'll rope you the moon. I'll lasso you the moon. That guy. Yeah, him. Yeah, Jimmy Stewart. Yeah.
No, pretty much everybody involved knew how gay the movie was.
Oh yeah.
Like not a single bit of that was by accident.
Oh, I would not be. It's barely like subtle in the film itself.
And the writer and one of the lead actors started dating.
Of course, that's amazing.
I think they actually moved in together after the movie was done.
That's really good. I like that.
Yeah. But so you know what else I saw? So apparently, since you told me The Long Walk is really good,
yes,
which I still haven't seen, but evidently this is a very good year for Stephen King adaptations with Mark Hamill in them, because I saw The Life of Chuck.
Yeah. Oh, which is such a great movie.
Oh. Damn, man.
That's a life affirming movie, and I needed something like that around. I watched it a few weeks ago.
Same.
Yeah.
Yes. Listeners, if the world's getting you down slightly, I think it's available to buy digitally. I don't know when it'll actually be on standard streaming, but if you can get your hands on The Life of Chuck, I highly recommend it. And I don't really want to tell you why, other than to say that, yes, it is a life-affirming movie. But, like, speaking as someone who often feels like they are contracting diabetes watching what other people call life-affirming movies, it is a beautifully honest movie about life and grief, and it is affirming in a very beautiful way that does not feel like it is sugarcoating existence, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's a movie you should go into without any... Like, I had no idea what that movie was going to be walking into it, and it was phenomenal. There's one sequence in the middle of the movie. Like, the whole movie's great, but the sequence in the middle of the movie just, like, I adore. But, yeah, I think, like, when it's, like, a life-affirming movie that can be so saccharine and so, like, up their own butt. And I think what I like about it is it just has this sense of... There's a melancholy to it that I think really works for what that is.
Like, the cast is absolutely phenomenal. Like, and a lot of these actors are like, some of them are like in literally one scene, but it's such a good cast. Yeah.
I loved it. It's about laying down your burdens in life, just like Battlestar Galactica.
Trying to handle more transitions. I don't think it's working well for you. I really don't.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna try. All right, don't yuck my yum. I'm going to do what I want, Vera, and you don't. You know what? We're talking about fascist. You're being a fascist, Vera. Don't be a fascist about transitions. All right. So you heard it here first. Vera hates transitions.
No, see what I heard. Was that failing at
popcorn?
Yes. What I heard was that failing at transitions is your kink. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Why do you think I am just the way I am? I certainly didn't do my transition well. I love that you have popcorn. Just for listeners, like, as she was talking, she just pulled out popcorn and started eating it. It's like, my transition's that bad that they're your entertainment.
So I have a fan and a supporter who every year sends me a bucket from Garrett Popcorn Shops in Chicago.
Oh, that sounds nice.
And it's this blend of, it's like caramel corn and cheddar popcorn. Mm-hmm. So like I try and get a bite with each kind of piece. It's nice.
They had this is one last aside that I'll get back to. Actually, we're talking about Lay Down Your Burdens part. Well, just to give the transition, Lay Down Your Burdens part 1 comments. We're going to talk about comments from that episode. But when I was in the Boy Scouts, obviously we'd have to sell popcorn. I don't know why I said it that way. Popcorn. And they always had this like caramel, like cashew corn that was so delicious that and like it was so perfect. And every time I try to get like caramel corn nowadays, like it's just never as good. It was like the right mixture of caramel and cashew. It was just, it was delicious. And all the caramel corn I've had since is just disappointing by comparison. It's like ruined me for it.
You know what we've got around here? Caramel maple corn.
Ooh. Well, I should say I am going to be coming up to see you soon. So.
I know.
Yeah.
I saw you posted the dates and everything.
Yeah. For listeners, just to let you know, next month, I mean, this will still be the case, but next month in November, I'm going to be teaching a class in Plainsfield, Vermont, Pennsylvania. Plainsfield, Vermont. And it's going to be a class on Star Trek is America's Self-Portrait. It's 3 2-hour classes over the course of a weekend, so 6 hours. Should be a fun time. It's part of a program that there was this college called Goddard College that closed, I think, last year, and one of its alums is a fan of mine, and they're doing this Spark program to just do some classes and stuff with the campus, some new people on the campus. So I am doing a class there for a weekend. It's going to be a fun time. There's some other cool classes. All the funds are going to helping keep more stuff like this going. So yeah, it should be a fun time, and I'll get to see Vera as well while I'm up there because it's right in her neck of the woods. So it's an in-person only class, unfortunately. So it's you have to be probably in the area, and it's going to be small class. They only expect 6 to 12 students for every class. But if you want to sign up, you're welcome to. So yeah, it should be a fun time. All right, lay down your burdens. Part 1, comments from that. Speaking of transitions. We have one from Hunter Connie who says, I expect Jessie to transition only once, but I fully support her transitioning as many times as she wants or needs to. Let's see.
Indecisive. That's what I call that.
Yes, exactly. Hedging your bets. Lanka Dominions 959 says, cool, this is finally on YouTube so I can point out that Vera may have accidentally offended multiple regions of England during the Farscape Peacekeeper Wars podcast. Vera described the Chancellor's accent as Cockney, but Linnell Haft played the part with his native Leeds accent, i.e. the other side of the country. But not to worry, British people are famously tolerant of Americans getting things wrong about the UK. And then they also say the podcast was an unexpected treat during COVID. Also how I discovered Jesse's channel. I was hoping you'd cover Battlestar Galactica at some point. So yes, you pissed off everyone in the UK, but it's okay. Lanka Dominion still likes us anyways.
I'm allowed. My family's from there.
Well, Doc Widner, if I say your name correctly, I apologize if I said it wrong. I like the 2 transitions. It geometrically raises the level of difficulty for getting good transitions. And then let's see. Honest Diago 4738 says, can't believe Jessie missed the opportunity to describe herself as your layable host rather than your burdensome host. Lay down your burdens. I know. That is sad.
And now we've done both parts.
I know. It's too late now. Well, I guess I'll have to stop putting up some resistance to... God damn it. You're going to break... I had a transition. God
I know
damn
you
it.
did. I'm going to stop you anyway. If we're being honest, I would be the layable host.
And that's the end of the podcast, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this final episode.
I'm not saying you are not worthy of being laid. I'm saying that I am a whore and you are not. That's what I'm saying.
I'm still offended. I'm still very offended by that.
What caused the podcast to break up? Well, you see, I called her not a whore. And that was crossing a line.
It was just one step too far. Anyways,
it's like
resist. Oh, God damn it. I wasn't even going to transition. I was going to fucking say it. Now you ruined that too. Why do you hate me, Vera?
It's like that moment from Golden Girls when Dorothy says about Rose, you are the biggest slut in this house. And Blanche goes, Dorothy, you take that back right now. Because she had the audacity to call someone a bigger slut than her.
It's a very offensive thing to say, Vera. You should know better.
Do you want to try and out-whore me? Get on my level.
I never said I was going to out-whore you. I just said I am also a whore. I wasn't going on levels. I know I'm not going to win that battle.
We got ourselves an old-fashioned whore fight.
Oh dear God, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. Anyways, Resistance. We're talking about the mini-sode series Resistance. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so these were, just to give listeners some background, there's some interesting tidbits with this that I looked up. This is the Resistance. This is a webisode series that released in the lead up to season 3 of Battlestar Galactica. So these took place kind of in between the two. And what's interesting about these is they actually, these came out in 2006. And around that same time, Lost released mobisodes for, I think, between seasons 2 and 3. Something like that. But around the same time, there were also Lost that did some mobisodes. And in 2007, there was a writer's strike that occurred from, I think, November 2007, 2008. And one of the major sticking points of that writer's strike was that they were looking for more residuals, or any residuals, because they weren't getting any, for new media, which was these mobisodes were considered. And so at the time, actually, these webisodes, along with the Lost ones and then a few other shows, but those are like some of the two biggest and most kind of known ones at the time, were really like a big target of, like, the writers were not getting any residuals from these episodes, from this thing. So these were like a big sticking point in that strike. And obviously it was a very important point because obviously that was just before the sort of streaming era. And a lot of things going to streaming, so that became a big point. And even then, they still didn't get a shit ton of money, as we're still seeing the ramifications of recently, even with the more recent writers and actors strikes. So,
yep.
Yeah. So I just figured that's interesting with these webisodes that they were such a sticking point. I'm not sure. There's another round of mobisodes that they do that we'll also be watching that take place in the middle of season 4. But I need to look at the timeline if those were considered, like, they got residuals for those or not. We'll figure out when we get there. But just an interesting note. So, yep. All right. So we're gonna get into this one, and just for listeners' notes of how this was released. So we're watching this all as one chunk. Just one 25-minute episode, essentially, is what we kind of watch this as. But these were initially released as, like, 5-minute episodes over the course of, like, several weeks leading up into season 3. So we're going to be talking about it all as once, but they are released in chunks.
You could really tell where the breaks were.
Oh, yeah, you most definitely could tell where the breaks were, especially when, like, there were, like, breaks literally in, like, the middle of a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just kind of an interesting little thing there. But just so listeners know, I'm not going to note the where it breaks up as we go through this. I'm going to just talk about it as one episode. But these were released as, like, separate episodes. So, all right. We start on New Caprica on the 67th day of occupation. So it's been 2 months since the end of season 2, where we saw. And one of the things that we can already tell that's different here, and we're just from the opening shot, the establishing shot, is there's been a building built in this tent city, a big building off in the distance.
Yeah.
That we will. Yes.
Only one building. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of other towers and stuff, but, like, there's only one thing that could decidedly be called a building. Everything else is still tents. Like, every scene that we get from here, whether it is people's homes, whether it is the temple, it's all just tents, except for this one building back there.
Which we will learn what it is in just a second, because we cut into one of the tents, and it's Callie, Chief, Tyrell, Ty, Duck, and Jammer are all hanging out there. And they're seemingly like they were just having a night with friends, like they were having drinks and such. Like Ty, I think, or someone says to Duck as he's getting up, it's like, "Hey, one more for the road." Also, I should mention Duck's wife Nora is there as well, who we'll learn more about.
And at this point, Callie has had the kid that we saw her pregnant with at the end of the previous episode. So we're a couple of month, maybe 2 out from when that was.
Well, it's at 67th day of occupation, so it's been 2 months exactly, almost.
Yeah.
So a little bit more. So she probably recently had the baby in the last like probably like 3-4 weeks, something like that. So, because she doesn't look like she's still recovering, she's up and about. So at least it's been, like, I would say about a month or so. So
yeah.
Anyways, that someone offers Duck and his wife as they are heading out one more for the road, but he says, I'm worried about curfew with sundown coming up, like sun's getting going down sooner, so I better get back. So we hear that there is a curfew established by the Cylons.
Yeah,
and he says, I don't want to live in a jail cell. And I forget who says this, but someone mentions the Cylons show up to help us, and they say they want to help us, and the first thing they do is build a jail.
Yeah. So that is the building. The only actual structure built is a prison. Yep. Which, honestly, that and there's another shot of it like later on that we get, and I think that is my favorite thing about this whole, I guess I'll call it an episode, is just that detail. Because otherwise, like, we are being asked to make an awful lot of assumptions that for me are frustrating. Because for me, what was exciting about the end of the previous season was like, okay, obviously the Cylons hold like all the cards in terms of resources and power, but like if they want to help, what does this dynamic look like? And we come in and it is functionally being treated kind of the same way that like the TV show Andor treated the Empire. It is, which like may or may not be fair, and I'm all in favor of resisting unoccupying force, and I think occupation is a fair statement, but at the same time it's like we're really just everything about how this is presented and who we are asked to view this through the lens of and the limited information we are giving basically says the Cylons no longer want to kill us, but they are going to oppress the hell out of us, so we must fight. And I'm like, be great to take more than your word for that. Like the reason I love the huge detention center is that is the one thing is like, okay, you're showing me that was their priority, but then everything else is just we are told. And I understand that's partially a budget limitation. This is very small cast. We hear talk of Centaurians. We never see any because they didn't have the effects budget. Like, I understand the limitations involved in this. But at the same time, like, given how many possibilities I saw at the end of the previous season, what this is asking me to do is assume the most boring outcome for a lot of those possibilities.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, to give it some credit too, I do believe like how this was done is like they established what they were doing in season 3 and then worked backwards for this. To be fair, this is the first thing we're seeing, but it is like, I think what's missing a lot here, and we do get a little of it later on, not really, but we get a little bit of it, but like what are the Cylons' real like desire? What do they desire out of this? Like, what are they really hoping for with this? Because what we're clearly seeing again is you're saying it's like an oppressive force, and like obviously there's a lot of like parallels that the show is trying to do. I think like most obviously, like we can talk about like the Afghanistan war and like terrorism and like how Arabs and like people in like Afghanistan, Iraq, or like things like that fighting against oppressive regimes, and like the Cylons kind of even being America stand-in some cases, and same thing with other the colonial like things that you could relate this to. But like in those cases, there's generally like an extracting ideology of like, we want your resources, we want your land, we want da-da-da-da-da. Whereas we don't necessarily think that doesn't seem to be the case with the Cylons. Like they don't really desire any of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
By all indications, at least so far as we understand anything, the Cylons don't have to be here. Like they are here because humans are here.
Yes.
So why?
Yeah, like, exactly. That's what I'm getting to. It's it's a settler colonial sort of like representation here, but but it doesn't seem like that's like the ideology behind what influences settler colonialism. Again, land, resources, whatever. That doesn't seem to be the case for Cylons.
Yeah. So again, that's kind of what I mean by I said like they took the most. They're making the most boring leaps, which is to leap right into that colonialist oppressive thing, which like, okay, fair, but why? Like what is it they want? Because like you said, they don't want any of the things that normally lead, a group or a nation to do this. So when you're treating it like the template that we see in our world, but enough of it is different enough that it doesn't map, you need to cover that gap, and they're not. At least not in these.
Yes. I'll make this remind me of. I'll talk about this at the end of the episode. Actually, I have something I want to say because I've been reading something that this is interesting that just sort of made a connection in my mind. But I'll come back to that. All right. Anyways, we also see that Duck and his wife Nora, like Callie says something to Nora, like, "Oh, you should have a kid," and Jean says like, "Oh, we want to have one," or they do want to have a kid. It's very
it's we're trying.
Yep. We then leave, and Jammer and Duck and Nora head out. And it's very clear that Jammer and Duck are still really close friends. Jammer at one point, offers Duck a cigarette, and Jammer says, "No, I quit." It's very clearly like an influence from his wife. Nora saying, "Hey," basically like pushing him to quit.
Although, like, we see characters smoking enough times that I did find myself wondering, like, okay, hang on a second. Because the only building is a detention facility, and everybody is in tents. Where are you getting the cigarettes? Because like at this point, I don't believe that you still have a stock.
Yeah,
like especially
it's been a year and a half, if not like 2 years since the destruction of the colony. So
yeah, so where are you growing the stuff, and more importantly, what facility is pressing these perfectly cylindrical, machine manufactured cigarettes?
Where you growing the tobacco?
Yeah.
Like we hear reference later on in this episode of like, oh, like there's crops being grown and that's kind of rare. So like where you can barely grow crops, but you can get tobacco.
And like, here's the thing, to be clear, I don't hold absolutely anything to the standard. It depends on what the thing is doing. Like there's that fucking Waterworld, which is a terrible movie, but it's hilarious in how bad it is. But like the villains are called the smokers there. They're all smoking, but like land doesn't exist. Where the hell are you guys growing the tobacco for the fact that you all smoke? But I don't care in that movie because it's stupid and it doesn't care. But this, again, this is a show that has had resource management being one of its earliest things that it made the point of that this matters. And so this stuff stands out in a way, whereas otherwise I might consider this like a Cinema Sins ding, and I'd be like, fuck it, I don't care. But it kind of feels like you sometimes put the thought into it, and then sometimes you don't.
Yeah, and and again, given where this ends, because there is a thing that comes back around with the cigarettes at the end of this, it was really done for like symbolism, but like it's symbolism without like necessarily the world building behind it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, like...
Because, like, the cigarette point comes back at the end as, like, a character beat.
So the symbolism, you know what? It could have just been alcohol. Because we've established they know how to make a still.
Yes.
Like, that's fine.
Yep, very much so. Yeah, it really would have worked just as well with alcohol, I feel like.
Yeah. Get a
especially since
flask.
Especially since they call it out a second. It's like, hey, do you want one more? It's like, nah, I gotta go back. They could have just had it switched to Duck saying like, no, I quit. Like because of Nora. They could have just changed it there. They even bring it up. So, yeah. Alas. Anywho, while Jammer's talking to Duck, he brings up like, hey, did you hear about Longo? I think is his name. Some guy and he's like, hey, yeah, Toaster's found his weapons stash that he was hiding weapons.
Hard arm, my fucking God, Jesse.
I know. Everyone keeps calling me out on it. I'm sorry. Toast, Cylons? I'll just say Centurions.
There you go.
I'm just quoting the characters, all right?
Okay. and when you do karaoke, do you also sing the N-words in rap songs?
No.
Okay, then.
Yeah. I'll share this story because, it's
what?
No. It's nothing I did. This is something else. I'm not, no. The thing that gets me, there's a, book written, there's an autobiography by Nicholas Meyer, who is the director of Star Trek II and Star Trek VI and a bunch of other movies. He's a director I genuinely like. I have issues with some of the like him as a some of his politics are weird, but his movies are good. But I listened to his autobiography. In his autobiography, he narrates the autobiography, but he's quoting other people in it and says the N-word twice in that autobiography. And I'm like, no, man, no, do not do that. But yeah. It's like he's quoting other people. And it's in the context of being like, oh, this is bad, but like, dude, don't. Not in the audiobook, no.
Like, yeah, there are times where it's like, okay, I understand the circumstances under which this is okay, but then you still messed it up anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I remember years ago, I read a George R.R. Martin book, a vampire book that I can't remember the name of now, but it was set on a riverboat. It was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I know. Oh, now I'm trying to remember the name of it. Yeah, I know the book you're talking about, but I don't remember the name either.
The N-word shows up a bit in it. And initially I'm like, okay, because like it was said in dialogue by characters who would say it, you know, given that it's set in the South and the time it was fine. But then it showed up in the narration. I was like, whoa!
Yeah,
no, it can't. You put it in quotes, semi-racist, that's one thing. You don't put it in the prose, dude. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like one of those things where it's like in the audiobook, you should have censored it. You just should have said bleep or like whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, just have the audio engineer drop in a beep. That's all you had to do.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, we cut back to inside the tent with Ty and the chief talking, and we hear them discuss like, well, Jammer's kind of testing the waters with Duck. We're trying to see if he'll bite, and essentially they're seeing if Duck is willing enough to join the resistance. And we also hear Ty talking about like he has.
Oh, you kind of skipped over a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because
we'll go back to Jammer and Duck. It kind of intercuts.
Oh, okay.
So,
then you didn't skip it. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go back and forth. I've just been cutting back and forth because we get the reveals as these conversations. Like the intercutting like reveals stuff as they're talking.
Okay.
So like with Ty and the Chief, this is a reveal. We're like, okay, Jammer's discussion with Duck is like Jammer's intentionally sort of prodding Duck to see like where his sympathies lie. And then Ty also references the fact that he has what's left of this weapon stash that was taken by the Centurions. And Ty is sort of lamenting the fact that they don't have a lot of weapons. It's pathetic. We'll have nothing but rocks left to throw at the bastards and no one to shoot it with. So they don't have a lot of people. They don't have a lot of supplies to run this resistance. It's kind of where they're at right now. Back to Jammer and Duck. Jammer says, like, yeah, the guy who died, the Centurions claim that he was reaching for his gun, which no one really believes. They're like, no, they just clearly were murdering him. Very much feels like, yeah, how police treat black people. Like, oh, he was going for his gun. Or again, there's numerous different, colonizers narratives that do the same thing as well to minority groups of like, oh, they were just a terrorist. It was fine to shoot them. Even though they're civilians. Anyways, but Nora seems to be a little less sympathetic, where she said, well, he had weapons in his tent. What did he expect? So kind of, blaming him for that. And we also get the discussion of apparently the Cylons are creating a new Caprica police force, because Jammer sort of brings it up. It's like, hey, what do you think about this?
There's like a recruitment poster for it.
Yes. And Jammer, and again, you don't know if he's sort of like making an argument to see where Duck settles on it. It's like, well, the Caprica police force would have humans patrolling us. It would be humans patrolling humans instead of the Centurions doing so. And so maybe he wouldn't have been killed if that was the case. And Duck argues, you work for his words, you work for the toasters, that's treason. And so Jammer, I gotta click for that, listeners. I'm quoting. it's fine. I'm pulling a Nicholas Meyer.
I understand why. I'm still gonna click you on it.
Anyways, Duck, like Jammer walks away at that point, and Duck sort of like turns to Nora, is like, hey, what do you think about Jammer being the godfather of our future kid? So like clearly again setting up their friendship. So.
Yeah, and I don't have high expectations right now, but I will be curious to see if the show gets more into this notion of the new Caprica police force, because it's one of those things that would be interesting to explore with more nuance than I think this show would be able to do. which is like, there's kind of this notion of like, if there's going to be police, if we take that as a given, and like, we shouldn't, but if we do, is it better that they be of the community that they are policing or from outside of it? And I think there's actually a lot of real interesting aspects to bring up and to dig into with that I don't expect the show will do. But I'm just going to note it here. They could, and it'd be neat.
Yeah, no, there is a lot to discuss with that, like a lot of nuance. I would actually, there's a really good video by, I'm going to just toss it out there, Alimi Lauren. If listeners should go listen to her channel, she has a really, really great channel just on many things. But she did a video on specifically Eric Adams, the soon-to-be former mayor of New York City. Thank fucking God, because he fucking sucks. But he was also a cop, and he's also a black man. And so there's that interesting intersection there that she goes into and discusses in much more nuance. So it's not for me to like speak on that necessarily. So I just want to prop up her video, but she talks about that I really loved that video for. So, yep. Anyways, we then cut to, where is this? Oh, we're back in the tent with Ty and Chief. Ty sort of says, Chief, you're going to have to hold on to the weapons. And the Chief is reluctant. And he's like, hey, I got a wife and kids here. And Ty says, hey, we'll try and get out of here as fast as we can, but we got to put it somewhere. And, Ty's just like, we're going to put it here. Jammer comes back in, and he reports that Duck hates the Cylons. There's no doubt about that. And then Ty's like, well, make him understand that we need him. Give him some poetic crap about the struggle for liberty against the Cylon oppressors. We need more people, or this resistance movement will die in its crib.
Ty with the stirring speech. Give us some poetic crap.
Yeah. Well, I get it. It just fits Ty. It's just like, look, I don't have any high-minded ideals. I'm here to fight the Cylons. I'm here to chew bubblegum and fight Cylons, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, it kind of harkens back to when Adama got shot, and he shortly before he declared martial law. But Ty was like trying to reassure people, like, Bill Adama believed in democracy and all that crap.
So I'll do it too, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely not a idealist leader. You know what I mean? He's not someone to stir you up with speeches or anything. He's like, I'm just gonna do the thing that I'm gonna do. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
We then go to another scene where Jammer is talking about it's Jammer, Duck, and the Chief. Excuse me, are at like a watering well where they're sort of getting wet water. And Duck sort of bows. It's like, hey, I have other plans. I'm not going to help. I got other things going on. And then Jammer and Chief are left to talk. And Jammer's like, hey, he has other plans. Like, he's doing other things. He has his wife to think about. And Chief's like, I have a wife and kid. I worry about them and what kind of future we're going to leave them. Like, we should have to fight the Cylons to create a better world for them.
Which, again, would be an interesting thing to see further explored if there was time. The fact that some people in this situation respond to having loved ones who would be put at risk as a reason to not fight, and others use that as a basis for why they're fighting in the first place.
Yep. So, and I think the show will get into that. Again, these are Mobisodes, so they're meant to be really quick, but that I think will get brought up more so in the show proper, if I recall. We'll find out. But then Jammer says, well, Duck's no coward. He made his choice. We made ours. And the Chief says, Frak that. So the Chief is very, very judgmental of Duck's choice to sort of like sit out and not do anything at the moment. So, whereas Jammer's slightly more understanding.
Yeah. Chief's still in the shithouse for me. I gotta be honest. The more time that I've sat with what happened, with him and Callie, the more I'm kind of, it's been said that Hank Pym in the comics was ruined the instant he hit his wife, because it was like all the audience could ever see. It's why they had to replace him as Ant-Man and all this other stuff, and why he's practically a villain half the time now. I'm kind of having that moment with Tyrell and I don't know how recoverable this is. And I'm not. And like part of the problem is I feel like the show's just breezing on by, and it makes it sit real badly because it's one of those things where like if you weren't really going to grapple with it, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, I think that's my problem, especially since it was done so connected with the time jump, like in the same episode. Like there's a few things going on here, and I'll kind of bring it up. Where if they had done this like maybe a few episodes earlier before when they did it in the finale, like he had the thing where he was like wrestling with like, am I a Cylon or am I not? And then he's like having these dreams, and then he like hit Callie in one of those things. Like I still wouldn't have loved that beat in the like, oh, we're gonna use beating up a woman for shock value to show this guy's in a kind of a dark state.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have I would not have loved that as a beat, but I could have at least gotten like, all right, like it's its thing, and then we're gonna maybe see like Chief and Callie kind of like in that time period, like figure that, because like I think there is a pathway for this character to recover from a storyline like that, in the sense of like having to reconcile and deal with like, look, I didn't intend this, but I did this, and how do I deal with that? But the fact that they did that, had one quick scene of like she forgives him, no questions asked.
She forgives him while her jaw is wired shut.
And then smash cut to within that same episode, they're now married with a kid on the way.
Yeah,
it gives that. It's just a very clear like, oh, we're gonna have her get beaten, and then we're gonna immediately cut to like they're together, and it just has this weird and like we talked about it last episode, like that weird intention of it. But what makes it even more difficult, I think, with this character, is they want Chief to be very akin to another, I'll just say a Star Trek character that Ronald D. Like, this is a character that Ronald D. Moore would be familiar with, which is Chief O'Brien from Deep Space Nine. A very similar character on Deep Space Nine in the sense that he's like a workman guy. He's like, everyone else is like officers, and sort of above him, he's an enlisted man. He's the one that sort of like fixes everything. He's very clearly like even the showrunners, Ira Stephen Bear on Deep Space Nine, talked about Chief as like the workman like guy. But what made O'Brien work is that, and he was, and as a result, like he was often used for like the everyman perspective on the show. Like he was the Union Man character. That's very similar to Tyrell here. Like there's literally an episode about unions, and Chief O'Brien's the one that's like very much on the Union side. And O'Brien would express some, like he had racism towards Cardassians based on his trauma from the war. But like he was always a good husband, and like he would be flawed, but it wouldn't necessarily be recoverable. And I think what's the problem with Tyrell here is I like, you could do a storyline like this, but they also kind of, especially right now, kind of want him to be like Ty's the very like darker character, whereas Tyrell's meant to have like, he's meant to be the pragmatic guy of like, he's kind of the beating heart of the show sort of thing, of like he has like probably the most idealism. He's the Union guy here, and like he has more nuanced opinions than Ty does. Like his judgment of Duck here is meant to be someone more pragmatic than Ty, who's just like fuck Duck for not wanting to, like, you know what I mean? Like there's some more like, he's meant to be a little bit more like the moral compass of the show, and it's hard to do that with a character who, like, you just did the wife beating storyline. And again, she wasn't his wife at the time, but the implication.
And you time jumped over all of the opportunities to sell to the audience that this has been addressed and he's moving forward from it. Because we're just left to basically assume, well, he's now married to her, so I guess everything looks fine, right? So the audience will know it's fine, right? No. When you take a character that far, you have to take the time to do the work to earn their trust back with the audience. You don't get to just time jump over that and go, oh, they got better in the meantime. No! And it's one of those things where, like, if you're not going to do the work, then don't have the beat.
Yeah, and again, it would have even been better for me. We had just gotten even an episode or two that separated, but it's like in the same episode, it's like very clear the intention to have that time jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could see it being a different thing. It's like, oh, we wrote it in an episode earlier. We were going to deal with it, but then, we decided to do this time jump thing, so I guess we're just going to miss that part.
Yeah, and
but,
like, to be fair, for the most part, I respected the hell out of the time jump. And it's not like that was the only thing that happened in the time jump. So it's not like the time jump was done specifically to gloss over
but it is a thing.
Issues,
yeah.
But it's still what happened. best with him specifically.
Yes. Anyways, we then cut to Jammer is talking with Ty. And they're in the I think they're in the temple at this point. And basically Ty says, I picked up the weapons from the other site. And Jammer sort of learns that, like, oh, you're planning on putting firearms in the temple. And Jammer takes issue with this, is like, hey, this is sacred ground. Even the Cylons respect that. That's why they don't look in here. And Ty says, well, like, and he also says this is sacrilege to put the weapons here. And Ty's like, this is why this is the perfect place to hide them. And he even says to Jammer, you ask the gods to forgive us. We're moving the guns in tonight.
I mean, from a completely pragmatic level, yeah.
No, I agree with Ty in this instance. So, yeah.
There was a line, it made me think of a line. I think it's from Mask of Zorro, where, like, the priest was, like, hiding Zorro, and the jackasses show up, and he's like, this is the house of God. Oh, don't worry, Padre. We'll be back before he's home. Or we'll leave before he comes back home.
We then cut to Duck and Nora about to have sexy times. And it's basically just a scene of, like, Duck mentions that he's aware that Jammer and Tyrell tried to recruit him for the Resistance. Like, he's self-aware that that's what's going on.
Which I do appreciate. I like that they're not painting him as oblivious to what's going on.
Yes. And then also, like, oh, look how much I love my wife, who is not going to be fridged at all in a few minutes. It's kind of the vibe.
Boy, I love my wife, who's due for retirement in just a few days.
2 days, yeah. Just 2 days from retirement. Yep. So, yeah, that's basically the point of that scene. But then we get a quick scene of the Chief, Ty, and Jammer moving the weapons into the temple, and Jammer says, "May the gods forgive us." They even hide it, like, literally under the temple altar that's there. Again, it's in a makeshift tent sort of thing. Then we have Duck and Nora. Yes, the Duck and Nora the next day. And waking up, like, Nora wakes him up again. It's a, hey, I love you, my soon-to-be fridged wife. And she says, hey, will you meet me at the temple later today? And Duck's like, no, I don't do the temple. I talk to the gods my own way, sort of thing. But I'll be there in spirit. And I wonder what's going to happen while she's at the temple, and Duck's not there. Cut to the temple. Nora's there with...
Who could possibly imagine?
Who could possibly guess? Nora's there with Callie, and they're talking a little bit about babies, because what else do... Babies and their husbands, because what else do women talk about besides babies and their husbands?
This show does not pass the Bechdel test.
I mean, I actually noted this. They do pass the Bechdel test because of one line here. Because they are talking about babies, like Callie's talking about, like, oh, you're lucky your husband comes from a religious background, and Callie's like, oh yeah. Callie does at least mention that Chief has been having his own crisis of faith, and he finding out that Brother Cavil was a Cylon didn't help, so we get a call out there, just to note that. But again, doesn't pass the Bechdel test except for one line because of symbolism later on. You see. Where Callie asks, like, oh, did you get some greens? Like, they have some green food, some celery or whatever, which is kind of rare. So we sort of learned that. But then, of course, as they're talking, we start hearing people yelling outside the tent, saying, hey, get out of here. Your infidels was a word that was specifically used in the background, which I wonder what they're trying to relate things to by using that word. Subtlety. It's for cowards. But yes, we hear that Centurions are coming, and they basically start shooting up the place. And there's a firefight, and Nora obviously gets fridged, and we get the visual of her blood spilling over the green.
What?
Food because what?
No, not Nora.
No, Nora.
Oh,
no. Why? Oh, who could have foreseen? And, and like her blood goes over the fresh greens because, symbolism. Her fresh womanly womb has been murdered by Cylons. I don't fucking know. The fresh goods have been destroyed by the Cylons. Yeah. It's kind of the vibe I got from that, you know what I mean? Like, oh, look. her fresh womanly womb has been destroyed. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, that's the one line that does pass the Bechdel test, because they do talk about the fucking food. And that technically is two named women talking about something other than men for a single line. It's like the same thing that Star Trek Insurrection, the movie, only passes the Bechdel test because in one line, Crusher and Deanna talk about their boobs for a second and how, like, because it's the planet where, like, they get younger. That's the whole movie.
Yeah.
And so they're talking about how their boobs feel firmer now, and that technically passes the Bechdel test.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure the Bechdel test is not single line. I think it's by scene.
I mean, technically, I don't know. I had a friend who did like a Bechdel test, like research thing, and they counted that for a thing.
Well, I mean, like in the case of Insurrection, it might have been like one of those weird little cutaway scenes where it's like the jokey joke is they're talking about their boobs, which would pass. But like here, it wouldn't, because it's one line in a scene where they're also talking about their husbands.
According to the original comic, it is not necessarily a scene. It is just two named women who talk to each other about something besides a man. It does not necessarily have to be a scene.
All right, fair enough.
So
I guess in my mind, the spirit of it is a scene in which a man does not come up.
Well, I mean, like, and it gets in the whole thing of the Bechdel test is like, it's not meant to be a scientific test at all anyway.
Oh yeah,
so,
no,
like,
I know.
Like however you really want to like quantify it.
There's deeply problematic exploitation movies that pass the Bechdel test. Like the Bechdel test, first of all, it was a joke.
Yes, yeah.
Originally. But then when conceived as a test, it is useful only as a metric of trends, not of individual movies. It's like any other discussion of tropes. It's not each individual instance, it's the fucking pattern.
Yes. So, like, yes, this scene with Duck and, Nora and Callie does technically pass the Bechdel test because of one line. Like, the scene itself is the fridging of a woman as two women talk about their babies and their husbands. Like, it technically passes the Bechdel test, but, like, in spirit, yeah, it's still a sexist scene. So, anyways, we then cut to Duck is talking to Callie and Chief and Jammer. Basically, everyone's there to sort of console Duck after his wife's dead. They're like, it happened so quick, and Duck is obviously blaming himself to a degree. He's like, I could have been there with her, and he's kind of got a death wish now, where he's like, I could have died with her. Like, it's like, because they're like, there's nothing you could have done. And he's like, I could have died with her. But then he sort of confronts the Chief and says, were there guns at the temple? And Chief tries to deflect it, say it doesn't really matter. The Cylons thought they were there. And he says that's not an answer. And the Chief admits that yes, there were guns at the temple. So
see, the thing is, you say he's blaming himself. He's blaming a lot of people, himself included. But the line that I wrote down was when somebody, I forget what the setup line was, but somebody made some reference to the gods, and he went, "Fuck the gods killed her." Mm-hmm. He didn't say, no, it was Frak the gods, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, same difference. And yeah, he yells at everyone to go out. He also, when he yells, the gods killed her, he like rips apart his tent a little bit, so he gets kind of angry. But then we have a scene between Jammer and Ty, where Jammer is sort of reporting to there was 10 people who died in the temple attack, 12 people were wounded, and they shot the temple to shreds. And there's also this, don't know her name, but there's sort of a woman second in command, it seems, like under Ty, who sort of hangs out with Ty. She's sort of another
we saw her
leader.
originally back when they were coming up with the plan to hide the guns in the temple in the first place.
Yeah, she comes up in a few scenes, but she sort of seems to be like one of the leaders of the resistance alongside Ty and the Chief. I didn't catch her name though. But yeah, she's sort of saying like, oh well, this is great, but there's been 1,000 people now protesting outside of Colonial 1 because of this attack, and we've solved our recruitment. 150 people have tried to join up for the resistance. So it's Ty seems to be seems like this was a very galvanizing moment for our movement, and seems kind of happy about it, which Jammer seems to be kind of horrified about, because Ty even says like, if a hell of a bargain for just some weapons, and Jammer says like, what about the 10 innocent people? And he says like, tell all this to Duck's wife who died. And Ty says, hey, you got that ass backwards. We didn't shoot those people. The Chrome Jobs did. It's like, well, you hid their weapons there. And Ty's like, we're not playing patty cake here. This is a war. It's focused on getting payback. And Jammer says, "This is all that this is about for you, blood for blood." And Ty said, "We're at war. People get killed. Good people get this through your head or get out." So
again, it brushes against an idea I would love to see more time dug into, because there is a lot of nuance to a situation where something bad happening is in a way, good for you or good for your cause. If it's a galvanizing moment, if it's something that makes people like pay more attention, but it still was a horrible thing that happened like that. I'm a little bit disappointed that they boil it down to Ty is okay with it and Jammer is unsettled by it, because I think it can actually be like a very legit conflict within any given person's, soul. Am I honoring these people's memory, or am I desecrating them by, leaping to the political advantage that this can bring? And I think that's a question that I have a hard time thinking of too many things that actually properly grapple with it. Most things give it this kind of like token brush past. And like what I'm about to say is not equivocal at all, but like it's a question that back when the last day job I had, which I was at for 9 years, and I was in sales, and we sold a lot of stuff. The thing I tell people I'm in sales and they get a look, and I'm like, we sold physical stuff that actually existed. I understand what in sales means in a lot of ways. Like, no, it wasn't that. But like we sold a lot of first aid kits and stuff like that, amongst other things. And it was a simple fact that when there was a bad hurricane season or a flood or an earthquake, sales went up. Like, that is the reality. And you can find yourself, if you detach yourself from the humanity of what actually happened too much, you find yourself almost going, oh, yay! And then like it hits you and you're like, oh, fuck. What the hell is wrong with me that I just thought that was a good thing? And again, I am not equating my sales job to fighting an oppressive colonial force. I'm just saying it's a conflicted mindset that I've experienced. And I very rarely see properly depicted that actual conflict within one person. What it seems the way most things tackle it is by having one character embody the I'm totally chill with this, and one character embody the I'm not okay with this.
Which is what's happening here, yeah.
Yeah, and you just put them at odds. And I feel like that's really that's unrepresentative of what actually happens for people in anything along the lines of that situation.
Yeah. The other thing that's brought up here that I think we should mention is the discussion of using civilian spots to hide weapons and things like that, which is something that happens. I do like, and this is something I agree with on Ty here, is that like, yes, there is moral complexity of like you're using civilian spots to hide like the activities against the colonial regime, but it is the Chrome Jobs who did it. Just to make the clear comparison that I know will be on a lot of people's minds nowadays is like Israel bombing hospitals and places in Gaza. And like, no, they are choosing to bomb those civilian places. They are killing people in doing so. And it is on them for killing the people. So like that.
If you try and justify it like, well, they have, they have terrorists there. There are Hamas in the building. I'm like, you're still choosing to bomb it.
You're still choosing to bomb civilians and kill civilians. Like, it is not on those civilians. Like, they're patients and people and things like that there. So that is on those people. It is on, the colonial oppressors for doing that. And I like that, Ty points that out. Like, Ty has got a lot of moral complicated shit going on, but I at least like that is very clearly stated there. That it's not just, because it very could have easily been the show, because I've seen other shows do this, being like, oh, you're just the bad guys. You're just the awful people here. And like being very much like victim blaming a lot of the people here. It's like, no, this is an important point as well.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact, especially in a situation like this where there's literally only one actual building, where are they supposed to put weapons other than with civilians?
Yes.
They have nowhere defensible. They don't have a bunker. Like, what the...
Yeah. It's like all you got is your little tent city. So like, yeah, it's either this or someone else's house. So I guess like a public spot is better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways, and also I will also another thing that I should point out here as well that at least gets touched upon that could be delved into more is like Jammer like Ty says, focus on payback, and Jammer brings up this idea like, oh, is this just blood for blood? Is this just revenge? And I like Ty, again, I don't always agree with Ty, but I'm just pointing this out, because a lot of the time, and this is something we even saw like in the recent Doctor Who episode that was like the Eurovision
Song Contest.
Yeah, the Eurovision episode. Terrible fucking episode. And a point that episode tried to make is like, oh, you may be fighting against, an exploitative, colonial, capitalistic, thing that's, oppressing your people and genociding them, but you're just out for revenge, and your revenge is you're just blinded by revenge, and that's not the right way to go. And Jammer kind of seems to bring up that same argument here to a degree of like, what is this just for revenge? And Ty goes like, no, we're at war. People get killed. Good people get that through your head. Again, don't always agree with Ty, but at least like dispelling this notion of like, no, this is not just revenge. This is like a practicality of the situation that we're in. So yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. We then cut to Ty and what's that? Oh, Tyrell. Ty and Tyrell. For some reason, my autocorrect changed it to Cylon, and I was like, Ty and a Cylon? What? Ty and Tyrell. For some reason, it autocorrected there. But yeah, there's a quick little brief thing. Like, apparently the Cylons grabbed Jammer. And Ty is worried that like Jammer's just going to give them up. He's weak. He's going to give us up really quickly. And Chief's like, no, Jammer's no traitor. He may be a lot of things, but he's not a traitor. Cut to Jammer is in jail getting interrogated.
Yep.
Well, he's in jail right now. He's handcuffed and everything. And he's kind of freaking out a little bit. And he's like, this is completely fracked. Fuck. And then a Doral comes in. And he says, have a seat. And he seems to be playing the good cop. He gives him, a really full water bottle of like pink juice. And it'll become a plot point later, but it's like it was like right up to the brim. I'm like, that art department really filled up that bottle. But yeah, he gives him a full bottle of water, and then he cuts him free. And he says, they weren't supposed to cuff you. That was totally unnecessary. I apologize. And my brain just goes, bullshit. Like he's just using this to play good cop. Yeah. But anyways, same thing here where like Jammer says, hey, tell me why I was arrested. And Doral's like, you weren't arrested. You're not an arrest. I brought you here because I just want to talk to you about what happened at the temple. And Jammer tries to say, hey, all I know is you blew up 10 innocent people. And Doral's like, well, you may find this hard to believe, but we feel sick about it. Tragic. The Centurions totally overreacted there. And it wasn't entirely our fault. We've always left your temples alone, never dreamed of sending Centurions in there. We didn't shoot those people. And Jammer's like, we didn't shoot these people, you did. And he says, I accept full responsibility for that, but bringing instruments of death into a house of worship is a sin, don't you agree? Whoever hid those weapons, in there, we knew we'd catch. And he plants the idea in Jammer's head here of like, maybe whoever hid those weapons there knew we told us, so we catch wind of it. And so that they figured out that it was there. Maybe they wanted it to happen. And Jammer's like, why would they do that? And Doral says, well, because some people are afraid of peace, afraid of what they might be without it. But you're not one of those people, James. Can I call you James? You're my best bud, James. We're just good friends here. And he brings up this point of like that juice you're drinking was made on a farm where, Cylons and humans are working together. We can make a better way forward. We even have a power grid, that we're putting up with everyone, that things are getting better with us here. And we could also have humans policing the streets instead of Centurions. So we want you to join the New Caprica police force. Or you say, so it brings up the New Caprica police force, and Jammer's like, I'm not a collaborator. I'm not going to do that. And Doral's like, you don't have to be, but you can help me prevent another tragedy like the temple shooting. And it gives him this little like chip that says, if just show this at the gate. If you ever hear anything, basically wants Jammer to become an informant. If like you hear anything, just let me know. So,
yeah. I like this scene. I think this might be the best scene in the things. So yeah. Because just the techniques being used and the way of massaging, and like you called it good cop, and like it is a bit, but it is very much
it's a manipulation.
Doral is doing a very good job of representing colonial oppressive power. With just the way he can say all day long, oh well, we're tore up sick about that. We take full responsibility for that. How? How? Because a bunch of people are dead, and all you've got to offer is words. Oh, we feel so bad. I take responsibility for. Really? What does that look like? What does that look like?
Responsibility.
Yeah. What does that look like? You taking responsibility for this?
Did anyone get punished?
No, of course not.
Anything change? Yeah.
And of course,
besides people being dead.
It gets weird with the Cylons too. Like, okay, so in theory, they punish. I don't know. They punish the Doral. How do we even know it's the right Doral?
Yeah, right.
But
just we hate that. We hate Steve, so kill Steve. Or like we punish him by killing him. Oh, he's back. Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, we totally got rid of that one. This is a different one. We swear.
My name is Bob.
Yeah, but the way it is played out and the way the actor who plays Doral, delivers his lines with the sort of this authoritative calm, the exertion of authority by the fact that he can say all this stuff very calmly and plainly is really well delivered in this.
The other thing too is this: his argument is also the uplifting of the primitives sort of argument. It's like, look, we're bringing roads, we're bringing advancements, we're giving you a power grid. We're bringing farms, and again, that's the line of every colonial force of like, we're uplifting the primitives. We brought them technology that totally justifies all of our fucking horrific human rights violations because we're uplifting them. But again, it's weird in this Cylon case because there seems to be an earnestness to that in the sense that colonial projects generally are not so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because usually
they're doing it. The colonial people
are line while we're extracting the oil or the the this and the that, and like again, because that's not the case, it is a little off.
Yeah, and especially like if you wanted to, this show is clearly written again in the era of like the Afghanistan war, like the justification on the liberal side of things, like you have Hillary Clinton and even the conservative side as well, with George Bush's wife even being like, well, we're here to like rescue the women with feminism and shit like that. So it's like, again, just justification for wanting to go take their oil and bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
wanting to take their oil, or in the case of Afghanistan, get proxy revenge for 9/11.
Yeah.
For very straight. Oh god, that was such a fucking mess. Anyways, but yeah, it's one of those things where the specifics of the sci-fi scenario make me wish that they were tinkering with the dynamics more, because they are presenting pretty straightforwardly colonial oppressive dynamics, but the specifics of the sci-fi situation don't map. So I kind of wish that they tinkered with the dynamic a little bit more to be like, oh, it's not quite the same because obviously, the Cylons have their own motivations. So it's a little different. So it makes how cleanly it maps onto colonialist behavior come across as slightly lazy.
Yes. It's just one of those things that's really funny to me just watching this show because, everyone praises this show. Like even, Some More News, which is a show. I love Cody Johnston and that whole team like that. Some More News.
Oh, yeah. Even, they're great.
They're great.
Their stuff depresses me, but it's good.
Yeah, it's very, very good. But they also are just starting a Battlestar Galactica podcast because they're like,
really?
It was very funny. But they were talking about, or at least Cody's going to be on a Battlestar Galactica podcast he was talking about. But they were also talking about like, it's so relevant. It was so progressive for the time. And it's like, it's fine. There's a lot to talk about with the show and like digging into it in modern context as we try to do as well. But it's just one of those things where like you also have these people being like, not Cody Johnston or anyone, but like other people being like, well, back in the day, shows were less like overt about their politics and less woke and those sort of assholes. And I'm like looking at this and I'm like, this show is so obviously like trying to really shoehorn in, like, we're talking about 9/11. If you didn't get it, we're talking about 9/11, the war in Afghanistan, Bush era politics, so much so that it breaks the logic of our own world building at times to get it there. And yeah, it's just really funny where people are like, back in the day of Battlestar Galactica, they weren't so obvious about their politics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But the politics used to be subtle. Okay. I have one word for you. MASH.
Yeah, right? MASH is about the Korean War, but really it was about Vietnam.
Yeah. And it was as subtle as stepping on a landmine. On
quite
purpose.
literally. Quite literally.
And it was incredibly popular. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Anyways, I just found that very, very funny. So they do woke politics over storytelling, and I'm like, Galactica's doing the same thing to a degree. We could argue about how effective it is, sure, but we all know the real reason you're upset is that this one didn't have as many queer people and people of color. Yeah. Anyways.
I actually think that at this point, we'll see if this ends up panning out. I feel like the Cylons are more diverse than the primary human cast.
Yeah, I mean, you have Duala. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't want to reveal who the rest of the Cylons are, but
I know.
I know. Anyways, we then have Jammer is let out of detention, and he's met by Chief Tyrrell, who is sort of waiting for him. We do get a note that apparently Boomer told Tyrrell when Jammer was getting out. Now, which Boomer that was, we don't know. Could have been Toomer, could have been the original Boomer, could have been whichever. We don't know which one. But we do have a overt reference to the fact that Boomer is relaying information to Tyrrell. So there's that. But yeah, Jammer basically kind of covers himself of Chief asks him what, basically he's just checking to see how things went and if Jammer, turned them in. And Jammer says no, I told him to go Frak himself. And the Chief seems to buy this. We don't sort of come back to it. But as they walk away, and this is, I just going to note this, the video that we watched, I think, was AI upscaled, and I didn't realize that when I sent it to you. And I just wanted to note it because it was just one of those things this is a telltale sign of that. In this scene, when they walk away, we get a close-up shot, the camera stays on a shot of the new Caprica police recruitment posters.
Yeah.
And in that shot, all the words are all kind of fucked up and looks like an alien language, which I don't think was intended to be the case because I went and looked at some other ones. You can clearly read them. And so this was AI upscaled to 1080p when I sent it to you, which I did not know.
That explained, because you told me before, you didn't know if you could find it better than 480.
Yeah, I think it was originally released because this was released for iPods, so this originally came out in 360, and then I found this version 360p. I think it was upscaled. I think I looked up because I looked it up after this AI thing. I think it was upscaled to 720p on for the DVD release, but what I found was 1080p. I'm like, it's 1080p. Here you go. But I think the reason it's 1080p is AI upscaled because the words on all of these posters were fucked up, which happens in AI upscales because by guessing, when AI guesses where the pixels is supposed to be, it'll just make up whatever, and so words especially would get all fucked up and messed up.
Yep.
So, yep.
I don't want to think about AI anymore. The video that I had come out at time of recording this past weekend was about that freaking AI actress.
Oh yeah. Good video, but yeah, fuck that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You did a lot of good research. It was very good. We then cut to Duck cleaning up his quarters after his anger earlier. So he cries over his prayer idol, which obviously signifies his wife to him because she was so into religion. Oh, look, my dead wife. I'm so sad. I wonder if it will motivate my actions like a good fridged wife should. Anyways, we then have the dedication ceremony for Chief Tyrrell's kid and Callie's kid named Nicholas, we learn. Dedication ceremony essentially being like a baptism, but for the colonial religion. I think he gets baptized for Zeus and Athena, I think were the two they referenced.
I think so.
But anyways, during the ceremony, Duck goes over to talk to the chief, and Duck says, I've joined the new Caprica police force. I'm going to work for them. And Chief is confused by this. You're going to work for the Cylons after they killed Nora. And he's like, well, some other fracker told them we were hiding weapons, so I'm going to find out who. So he's basically going to try and work as a double agent.
At least he's claiming to, because it's not all right. The way that the show has portrayed Duck, I don't necessarily think he's going to betray them to the Cylons. However, my immediate thought, and I would think this of basically any secondary character who we don't know a ton about, I would think, okay, it's very easy for you to say, oh, I'm totally going to spy on them for you, when in reality that just keeps you in with the resistance as you go and work for them.
Mm-hmm.
That is very easy to go the other direction. So I'm gonna be side eyeing Duck a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. But then we cut to Jammer, the chief, Tyrell, and the sort of woman second in command lady. They're all talking, and Ty's like talking, like, "Hey, we found a new site to hide. We found a new site, and we're able to make explosives. And they're gonna hide it right next in the grain storage tent, which Jammer is upset about because he's like, that's right next to a hospital. And Ty's like, well, the patients will have to take their chances.
Which,
yeah.
Fuck you, buddy.
Yes. And so Jammer is conflicted about this for obvious reasons, for the same reasons as the temple. So.
Yeah, like I think there are ways that, like, here's what I would have liked to have heard Ty say, and I think it would have been more consistent with what he's been saying up to this point in this thing. I would have liked to heard him say something like, if we do this right, it won't hurt the hospitals, but if it's done, it's because they put this thing that was vulnerable so close to something that they know we don't want to harm. We didn't put it there. Like, sort of springboarding off of and keeping in mind the whole, like, no matter who is hoarding weapons, they are the ones who fired. Like, the situations is being made worse and escalated by them. And we're doing our best, and it's a risk, but the fact that it's a risk is their fault, not ours. I would have very much preferred that, as opposed to, what the fuck is a line like, the patients will have to take their chances? They're patients in a hospital. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck was that line, man?
Yeah, I think it's a line to, like, kind of make the morality kind of clearer, which pisses me off every time this show does that. Yeah, exactly. It's like, we gotta make this easy conflict for Jammer. Like, Jammer doesn't have an easy answer here necessarily, but it makes it a more clear, like, okay, here's an asshole and here's the other choice. You know what I mean? It, like, makes the lines even less murkier than they could have been. So.
Yep.
But yeah, then we cut to the final scene of the episode where Jammer goes out and sits next to Duck. Duck is smoking a cigarette. Again, symbolism from earlier. Yeah. And Jammer says, I heard you quit. And Duck says, what fracking difference does it make now? So we clearly get a sense of, like, Duck does not give a shit about his own life anymore. He's like, again, not necessarily got a death wish, but he certainly doesn't give a shit about himself now that his wife's dead. And he says, take it easy. And Duck walks away, and then Jammer, also having complicated feelings, walks away as well. And he looks at the little, like, thing that Doral gave him. So.
Yep. That's it.
And that is the end of the Mobisodes for the Resistance. No spoiler minute. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff in this is very clearly set up for some things that we'll see with Jammer and Duck and just the situation generally going forward. So, what did you think about this episode overall?
It's okay. I can't tell, and I won't know until next episode, whether, like, the fact that this feels like it's again, like, kind of like with the time jump in regards to Tyrell, if it's making a lot of leaps and asking me to just roll with it when it is glossing over stuff that I would rather see explored, I don't know whether that is an indication of what I should be expecting as we get into the new season, or if it's just a side effect of the fact that this particular set of things can't matter too much. It can't be too essential. So I don't know which is the case, but we'll see. I would say I'll remember to make this comparison later, but I won't. Actually, last podcast I edited, there was something that you said somewhere in it, and you were like, I'll get back to everybody on that next episode. And not only did you not do it, I don't even remember what the hell it was.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, what this clearly is, and I mean, like, I guess I could have done a spoiler minute on this, but we'll see it very clearly in the next couple episodes, so it's not, like, too far ahead. These Mobisodes were very clearly setting up Duck and Jammer. Duck and Jammer are going to be, clearly they have something they're going to be doing plot-wise in the next few episodes, is basically what I will say. I think Jammer's is more clearly identifiable. What he's probably going to end up doing. And this is Mobisodes kind of justifying that in a way that the show won't have time to do. So this is like kind of setting up these two characters who do not get a lot of on-screen time and giving them justifications for actions that they will clearly take in the next few episodes on screen. And as a result, like, I think it does that in a decent enough way for those two characters. For these two characters, I wouldn't, like, again, this isn't much of a spoiler. Jammer's going to probably go to Dora with the little thing.
Well,
yeah, I mean, that's very obviously what's about to happen. So, like, we didn't need to see that. We could have just been like, yeah, Jammer's a character who might have gone and done that. We've seen in other seasons. He's kind of like a guy who's like not like super, confident on things. He's kind of unsure of stuff. So like, I could believe you had done that without any justification. I didn't need the Mobisodes. But for people who want it, like there's the arc for you. It gets him to where he needs to be for that. And I think for what this is doing for that, it does a decent job. And it's meant to be a promotional material thing for like, ooh, this is the new status quo for the season. You get little inklings of it. But yeah, it doesn't really explore a lot of the ideas it brings up. I think there's sometimes it does do them pretty well. Like some of the stuff like that one scene between Jammer and Ty earlier in the episode, I thought was like touched upon some ideas in decently well handled fashion. But it doesn't really dig deep into them or explore them in any real depth. And I think that that's meant to be for the show to do. So I think this is, again, promotional material for like, here's some ideas that we're going to explore. Gives you a little bit of an arc for Duck and Jammer for like secondary characters. We won't have time to like show on screen their arcs. Here's the justification for you. So I think on what it's trying to do, it kind of succeeds, even if there's stuff that we have issue with politically in this. But yeah, as it's its own piece. It's fine. It's whatever. It relies on tropey shit like the fridged wife to get people there. So it's just, it's very tropey and easy, touches upon some interesting ideas, but doesn't fully explore them. So yeah, taking onto itself, it's not phenomenal, but for what it was supposed to do, promotional material, give you some background for some secondary characters, it does the job fine enough.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's probably the best thing I can say about it is like it makes the stuff we'll see Duck and Jammer do in the next few episodes. Like, oh yeah, he's like, it gives you a little backstory to that. That's interesting. So,
yep.
Which again, I'll just say this too before we wrap out. Like, I don't want to be overly harsh. Just like, that's kind of what I expect Mobisodes like this to do. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't expect you to really dig deep on all of this stuff. It's like, give me a little bit of a thing that you wouldn't have had time for in the main episode proper. Great. Cool.
See, the thing about stuff like this and these kinds of short promotional pieces of material, whether they are meant to, sort of form a narrative or whether they're little glimpses or what have you, because Doctor Who has done, stuff like this on occasion, is that they become very strange artifacts once removed from their initial context, because as pieces, they generally function much better at the time they are released, which is generally in between, proper seasons or larger installments. And that's when they, if they're going to work at all, they kind of work best. And you're like, ooh, yeah, boy, I can't wait till we get back. Here's my little taste of that. But then when you're outside of that context and, we have the ability to just start watching the new season whenever, but we pause to do this. It's just becomes a strange artifact.
Yeah, I agree. The Lost ones kind of were very similar too. There's one Lost Mobisode, because those are more, I kind of even like the Mobisodes to be kind of more episodic to a degree, being like, oh, it's just a little piece, a little scene or something. And there's the Lost ones for that show I thought were more interesting, because most of those are inconsequential. There is actually one that I'm like, that one was really good. But yeah, this is it is just a weird little artifact. I will say there is one more of these that we will watch. That I actually think that is set in the middle of season 4. Like there was a break in the season 4, and they released some Mobisodes between that we will watch there. That I actually think is, I don't necessarily say is more consequential, but it does some things that I think you and I specifically will want to talk a lot about.
Okay.
So we'll get there when we get there. So. All right. Anything else?
Nah.
Alrighty then, stuff time.
Stuff. You can find my stuff by looking for Council of Geeks. Patreon pays the bills, and that is what enables me to do this as my living, and the main thing that funds is the Council of Geeks YouTube channel. I don't know what is coming out around the time that this goes live. I don't feel like pulling up my docket right now. There's new videos every Saturday, and there's also the Break Room of Geeks, where I put out videos about whatever I have watched, read, listened to, or played lately. So you can check that out, and that's also where this here podcast gets put up on YouTube.
This is your podcast.
I know. If you prefer to take in your podcast on YouTube itself. You can also find Council of Geeks on Blue Sky, and that's about it. That's the geeky stuff. There's also the spicy stuff.
There's also the spicy stuff.
And for that, you can look for Vera Wild. Wild is spelled W-Y-L-D-E.
W-Y-L-D.
And you can find increasingly spicy content on YouTube, TikTok.
And you can find me at Jesse Gender on YouTube, where I do video essay style stuff. I probably, as of this release, as of this recording, I have a video going up tomorrow, so it'll be 2 weeks old by the time you watch this. But I have a video up about Strange New Worlds and why it is trying to be apolitical in a time where apolitical is a bad thing. I mean, apolitical is always a political choice, but it's especially bad right now, and especially bad for Star Trek of all things to do. So check out that video. I'll also have another video coming up, if not already out, it'll be out fairly soon, about why tech bros love Star Trek and why they do not understand it, and yet there is stuff there that clearly fits their agenda. So check that video out as well. I also have a secondary channel called Jesse Gender After Dark, where I do news, reviews, reactions. Not sure what I'm reviewing as of right now, but I will certainly be doing videos and things like that, so check that out there. I have a Patreon that helps pay my bills. It gets you videos early, like the two aforementioned one, and I still have another one up, the Ferengi one that I've mentioned a few times here before, that is up there still and will probably not be released until later November or so, just because it gives me something to have in my back pocket. And then I also am on Nebula, where all the videos that I mentioned are also up as well. They also have my movie Identities, as well as the episode of the show Subliminal that I have directed that'll be coming out later next year. And I am also on Blue Sky and Instagram. That is everything that I have. Anything else, Avira?
Nah.
Alrighty then I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all live long and prosper.
Be seeing you.